Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Just a couple of very small announcements. We can announce that the Oncoming storm will be back here again next year on the 8th of June, and tickets are now already on sale from the inquiries desk if any of you want to come back again next year. We hope you do. At the end of the day, there will be a very small charity auction. You may have seen in the bar there is a very ancient Doctor Who fruit machine, which is going to be auctioned at the end of the day, along with some very rare photographs of Michael Craze, who played Ben, of course, which have been donated by his son Ben, who is here. Some of you may have seen him wandering around. And they're very private. They've not been seen before, and he's going to auction those as well. All the profits from that auction are going to the Cheltenham Hospital Oncology Unit and Marie Curie Cancer Care, so it is a very good cause, so do stay around and perhaps spend some money. Okay, our first panel of the day is the one that I am so excited about. First of all, we have a chap who, as far as I'm concerned, is responsible for 3 of the greatest Doctor Who episodes we've seen in this new series. Please welcome Paul Cornell.
Hello. It's very warm up here.
It is warm. If you want to take your clothes off, that's fine by us.
Well, you say that.
Pardon me? Okay. Well, Paul, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. So Sydney and Verity, eh?
Oh, yes. That happened because of an SFX magazine thing. It was going to be Sarah, Jane and Harry until Nick Setchfield of SFX pointed out to Russell at an interview with him and Verity Lambert that Verity was a name used in the original book. And so we did.
Okay.
I mean, I think Verity and Sydney is better.
Lovely name. I think the John Smith's parents are Sydney and Verity. Nice names. Nice names. You were very much responsible for keeping Doctor Who alive, really, during the years it was off the air. Well, I have to say.
Me as part of a huge gang of hundreds of us, yeah.
I know, but you're one of them.
We were sort of like Doctor Who paramedics. We kept the heart beating.
Definitely. And you, Human Nature, we'll talk about that first, I think. Human Nature and the Family of Blood started as, from your book. You wrote the book Human Nature.
Yeah.
Featuring the Seventh Doctor and Bernice.
Yeah, back in the day. This was one of the Virgin New Adventures novels. It's now available on the BBC iSite.
It's now back up there, yes.
It's now back up there with some extra content and extras, which is very nice. The BBC I people were asking me what sort of owl would I prefer to have hooting in the background on the sound file. So I had to think, tawny, barn owl, because of course the BBC have access to Owl 1 to Owl 10.
Yes. Yes. Where did that idea come from?
I think because my 3rd Doctor Who novel was so terrible, No Future, I really thought I have to raise my game. And I think the way to raise one's game is to do Superman 2. The thought in my head... Yeah. The thought in my head really was, let's do Superman 2, the hero's journey, the journey of Christ, the journey of Arthur, the journey of Merlin, for the Doctor.
Right.
And I'd also just read a Star Trek novel by Peter David called Imzadi, which doesn't do that journey, but what it does do is ignore the guidelines completely and just write this tremendously passionate, emotional novel about the Next Gen cast, which doesn't leave the pieces in the same place they were at the start of the book. So I thought, let's do something that's that big. And the novel's very similar to the televised version in terms of the emotional journey. Lots of the details have changed, and the nature of the Doctor has changed, obviously. But when Russell said to me, what we really want is to keep that scene at the War Memorial at the end, that's where we're heading to, I thought, they've really got to do this right, aren't they?
Sure. So did it take much altering to change it to a 10th rather than a 7th?
Well, originally I started way different because I thought we've done this a bit with The Girl in the Fireplace.
Okay.
But then Russell kept on bringing it back towards the book, which was very flattering. I started my first episode plot-wise with the Doctor and Joan married with John Smith and Joan, married, waking up together in bed, there's Martha. So we were in a very different place. And it was Russell shuffling it back towards the book. The rest of the producers had recently read Human Nature. Russell deliberately didn't. But every time he wanted something, it was something that had been in the book, which was lovely.
So what came first? You saying, can I write a script based on this, or did it come from...
Russell phoned me up, as he always does in these circumstances, and I always remember where I am when he calls me. And this time round, last time it was the oven chips, which I've told so many times, I'm becoming Terence Dix. I have got my little... yes, I know, absolutely. I would love to become Terence Dix, but I aspire to that. But I have my little list of convention anecdotes now, which are greatest hits mode. But this time round...
Okay, well, just pause for a second then. Hands up if you've not been to a convention before. Hands up. Oh, there you are, you
My
see.
goodness, what have you done? This is amazing. Fantastic. Basically, last time round for Father's Day, I was putting some oven chips in. And Russell called me and did 15 minutes about how lovely oven chips were to make me remember where I was when I got the call that I'd wanted all my life. And this time round, I was reading a letter from my estate agent, from the person who owns the lease on my flat, saying, P.S., we gather that congratulations are in order that you have just been employed on the new series of Star Wars. And I thought, oh, well, the rent's going to go up. They've got it completely wrong, you know. And then Russell phoned immediately, I'd read that, and said, now, for the new series, for a two-parter, how do you fancy? And I said, adapting human nature. And he said, who told you? And I don't know why, it had just come into my head. I think because way back in the day, when the show was off the air, me and Gareth Roberts and Rebecca Levine and Matt Jones used to convene as a little committee to bring back Doctor Who. Yep. And we planned out a whole season, and if Gareth ever gets to do his Dalek story, I really want to see that. But we were always saying, we'll do human nature. And it just sort of seemed madly obvious now, and I don't know why.
How much did the finished product that we have now just seen differ from what you then wrote in the first place?
Oh, hugely.
Yeah.
Because it was that very, very... I second-guessed myself. I thought, I can't just do a straight adaptation. They'll want to new series this up.
Right.
And as it turned out, they didn't.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, it's obvious that there is a place in this new series to stop and slow down and
well, absolutely.
tell a different story.
It's Russell's always after this for that second two-parter.
Yeah.
Because by then, we've got the audience we're going to get. He sent me an email last week, ecstatic about the ratings this time, because we didn't drop like we always drop at this point in the year. We managed to stay up, and that's mission accomplished, really.
I mean, even with these ridiculous changing start times every damned week, you know, at least people are sticking with it.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, also, apart from Paul here, somebody involved with that last two-parter, we have one of its stars. Please welcome Thomas Sangster.
Hello?
Wasn't he fantastic?
Thank you.
And this is your first convention, I believe.
Yes,
Yes?
it is, yeah.
Isn't it an exciting thing to be, or is it kind of daunting, or how do you feel?
A bit of everything, really. It's exciting to be here. It's very different to anything else I've been to, but it's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Doctor Who's quite a feather in the cap, really, these days. How did you feel when they said, would you like to be in Doctor Who?
Thrilled,
Yeah.
really. It's always been there. It's always been amazing, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's just been great to be able to be involved in it.
Do you think that Thomas filled the character of Tim as you wrote it?
Well, hugely. When I heard you'd been cast, I actually thought, oh my God, we've got him. You know, I didn't think we'd be able to get you. It's, you know, a measure of where you've got to. I mean, what are you doing next? What's your next thing?
Well, what most children do, I'm back at school, doing A-levels, which is all right, but it's not as fun as running around in the 1913 with machine guns and saving the world.
Sure.
That looked like a hideous, muddy, rained-on set, the battlefield. What on earth was that? This is the first time we've met. What on earth was that like?
At the beginning, it was ridiculous, really. But after a while, you kind of got into it, and it was kind of a competition to see who could get the most muddy and the most wet. Because before every take, we would literally, the first director would tell us to roll in the mud, in the water, because we had to freshen up, because it was just dry. And I had a rotten cold at the time, and in the confidential, you can hear me coughing all the way through it. But it was great experience, because when they said action and all the explosions were going off, it felt like you really were in 1913 in the Battle of the Somme or something like that.
In that confidential, Paul, you described Tim as being a little doctorish.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's true?
Well, very much so.
Thomas?
I think there's a role waiting for him in there.
Yeah. There were people on the crew said, oh, maybe he's the doctor's son or something like that. So I was hoping, but no, not.
Well, I think a few of us thought that before part 2, I think, but there we are.
Yeah.
Would you describe Tim as a little doctorish?
I think he's got a kind of element of that in there somewhere, yeah.
How would you describe him, the character?
Tim, they're kind of slightly outside, a bit strange, like the Doctor, but kind of got that sparky imagination, that edge that makes him different to everybody else.
You did say that you hadn't actually seen Thomas, because every time you popped down to the set, he wasn't on.
Oh, absolutely. I was down on 2 occasions, neither of which were when you were around. But I was at the foot of John Smith's bed when he wakes up in the first moments. And I was also watching that poor, wonderful actor who played a mother of mine, plummeting from the ceiling on a rope towards a green screen when she gets blown out of the TARDIS doors. The things you guys have to go through.
Do you think the story would have worked with Bernice? I mean, you created this character of Bernice Summerfield, who's obviously gone off and had a wonderful life of her own. Do you think it would have worked with her?
Well, we don't have... I loved what Freema did in this. I think Freema just did a tremendous, tremendous job. And it's hard to imagine doing it any other way now.
Sure.
It's very, very much her journey as well, Martha's journey.
So do you see it more as Martha's story or the Doctor's story?
Oh, it's a bit of both, isn't it, really? But there's a load of Martha's journey. And I think you did very well in the scene at the end, where they aged you up till about 102 and range.
Yeah. It's amazing what they can do these days with prosthetics, you see.
It is amazing what they can do these days. Talk us through the process then. You have a read-through at the beginning? Where everyone is there?
Well, how it goes is, did you do the read-through?
Yeah, I came for the read-through,
It's always very interesting. I mean, Jessica Stevenson had grown men crying at that read-through, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, and Gary Russell played Baines. Is that, or did he play Hutchinson?
No, he played Baines.
He played Baines. I always love it when somebody's not there. And Helen Rayner's face of Bo was really good too. But no, and there's a read-through. Afterwards, I get carted off, and last-minute script changes are done. But not very many this time round. That's kind of how it works. Sorry, so we did meet, actually, but we never got to say hello because I had a huge head cold or something and was just sort of sitting there being blown away, frankly. The read-through was so good. And it's not always the case. Sometimes a terrible read-through and it'll still be a fantastic show. But this time round, I love this cast. My God, how lucky was I? And Charles, what did you make of Charles? What was working with Charles Palmer like?
Oh, he was great. And I'd worked with his father before, so we kind of had a relationship already. And he was just kind of really relaxed, laid back, and kind of a nice attitude about the whole thing, and knew what you wanted.
He seems very good working with actors.
Well, yeah. Well, he's a director, I suppose.
They say never work with children or animals.
No. Or ask obvious questions, really. No. You have actually...
Don't you start.
No. So does the script change? Once you've had your read-through, I mean, I presume then it can change a little more, but once you get to a shooting script, that's it?
Well, they call it locked, and that's,
Yeah.
Changes at that point. Russell can do it, but probably nobody else could.
Did he change things a lot? I mean, through the process of writing?
We 4 drafts and 3 drafts, respectively, this time. Compared to Father's Day 18 drafts, that was...
18?
Yes. And we were moved a whole shooting block ahead because we were really ready. and the block after weren't so ready. And that was very flattering.
Gosh. So, I mean, how much of the original script remained in the finished script?
It's about... It's very hard to say because it's a team game.
Okay.
But, you know, it's very largely mine, and I'm very, very proud of it. And, and the things Russell added, what did Russell add? Russell's polish was largely about geography this time round. That we lost a rugby match because we couldn't find a rugby pitch, and that would have been you once more cavorting in mud, with rugby balls and things like that. He sort of put it into a swifter shape. I can give you a really concrete example. Originally, having run from the school, they ran to Martha's house. Not Martha's house, Joan's house, which we hadn't seen. We'd seen it a couple of times previously in the script. Basically, Joan's house vanished. Those scenes were at the school, and Russell came up with a really good reason why they would go back to somewhere, which was the little girl having zapped her parents, etc., etc. And that's gone in a flash of screen time, but it makes things so much easier and flow so much better. And when you have a polish by Russell, you sort of come away... It is literally like having your car polished. You step back and think, oh, is that my car? But it looks really nice, and it goes really well, and this metaphor is going nowhere else.
No, it all makes complete sense. So tell us about also the people that you've worked with, both of you. David, let's start with David. Tell us.
He's a great guy, just really kind of relaxed attitude, really kind of cool. He's a cool guy. He seemed very tired because he'd been doing it for quite a while. Right. But no, he was really nice to work with. Nice guy.
Is he kind of like one of the guys, or do you sort of still feel a little in awe of him because it's the doctor?
You do, because he's the doctor, so you kind of have that awe for him. But he soon mucks in, and you kind of realise he's just one of the guys.
Very good. Freema?
Freema's, she still seems very energetic and full of life, and can't wait to do the next thing and moving on like that, full of energy, which is great to have on a set. You know.
Between every take, when I was there, she was learning that bones of the hand speech. And Lindsay Alford, the script editor, kept having to revise it with her. And in the end, Charles spared her a lot of it by filming it from behind and getting reaction shots. But she actually had it note perfect from top to bottom. It's things actors have to do.
Well, I say, wouldn't you hate somebody who wrote that kind of speech that you had to learn? You know, that's not kind to actors.
That's also a Russell thing, I'm pleased to say. That was the bones of the hand was Russell.
Ah, okay. You've worked with a lot of big names, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you find that kind of a little scary, or do you just, it's another job, you know, it's Hugh Grant, it's whoever?
I don't find it scary. Well, it was a little bit imposing in the read-through where everyone just kind of walked in, and half of them I didn't realise were doing the thing. But I just think of it as a great opportunity to work with so many established, well-known actors.
How did you get started?
My mum and dad are both actors, and I saw them doing a play and thought it looked like it might be quite fun. Yeah. And so I sent off a few photos to an agent and got a few auditions, finally got a part in a BBC film, and just kind of kept going from there.
Wow. And do you think you'll carry on? Is it something you want to do?
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy it. Doctor Who was the last thing I did, and it was just a great experience, great fun. I still really enjoy acting, the satisfaction you get out of it, and then a nice result at the end. It's a great job.
Have you been recognised?
Yeah, I have been recognised.
In the street and the shops and that kind of thing? Yeah. Is that a buzz? It's a buzz,
yeah. It can be annoying, but, you know, you can't... That's part and parcel of the job, really.
Yeah.
What's your mates... Sorry, I'm interviewing you, pardon me. What's your mates at school think?
They kind of got to the point where they're kind of very laid back and kind of used to it by now. Everyone else in the school is kind of, wow, amazing. They kind of don't care anymore.
I guess that's one of, I suppose, a downside of being a writer, in that you don't get that.
No, not
immediate.
Really. Yeah. I've plastered my face over my blog and my MySpace page, but no, it doesn't happen. It's actually it's quite nice, really. It's I can't imagine what actors must have to deal with, that sort of stuff. It's
So what about, where do your ideas come from?
There's a shop.
Oh, very good.
It-
Ideas are us.
it's in Coventry. You send off a form in the post and they'll send you some ideas.
Lovely. Good. Next question. No, where do your
Where
ideas
do your ideas come from?
Where do your ideas come from? I mean, for
Where do
example,
your ideas come from?
Oh, whatever. I mean,
Where?
no, let's talk about the idea, say, for Father's Day. That was not from a book. You know,
Right.
it's somewhere that we hadn't been with the show, again.
Russell, initially in his Series 1 briefing document said, I think there were 16 words, basically. This is the Play for Today episode with no monsters. The Doctor hears what a good man Pete Tyler was while Rose watches him die over and over again. And as you can see, that gives you somewhere to start, but it's not where we ended up.
Okay, so you're always given a starting point.
Yeah, both cases.
Yeah.
The second starting point just being adapt the book.
And did you know at the time of writing for Father's Day that you'd be writing for Billy and Chris? Had they been
No.
cast on? It was just
We just
generic to start with?
Well, no, we had Russell's first script, which really outlines the characters, and the actors are kind of cast to fit that.
Right.
K9 was in that initial briefing document. He was going to be throughout the first season, which would have been...
K9 was going to be throughout the first season.
K9 in Father's Day would have been quite something, I think. Shall I just zap them all, Master, and end all this story? Yes, do that, K9. Yeah.
Yes, I don't quite see how that was going to work, to be honest. No. Do you know how he would have ended up with K9 in the first season? Do you remember?
No, we never got past... the briefing document came out before Russell wrote his first script. And since he didn't appear in Russell's first script, we never heard of him again.
Right, okay, well until later.
The briefing document also says the Doctor is a wildly energetic, very happy man who leaps about being jolly. And then they cast Chris, and it kind of...
Who apparently wasn't.
Well, if you want to write a great character for him, you give that gravitas and that sadness. And my goodness, we are here a long way due to what Chris did in the first season.
Well, yes. I mean, we wouldn't be here without him, so I mean, we can't, absolutely can't complain about that. Roving Mike is around. I'm sure some of you have got questions for Paul and for Thomas. And there's a lady just behind you there, look. Mike 4.
Thomas, were you a fan of Doctor Who before you were in it? And since being in it, has that taken any of the magic away from Doctor Who for you?
Well, I was kind of too young. I kind of missed the old Doctor Who's. So I don't really know much about them at all. But for the new ones, I got all the new ones, obviously. And yeah, I watch them every week. But being on set, it's a completely different experience to when you watch it. So it doesn't take any magic of it. It kind of brings you closer to it, and kind of you can imagine what it must be like for them filming it, and then you get the satisfaction of watching it as a story as well. So I think it's better. And you're only like that for your episode anyway. And so when you watch your episode, you're kind of watching it. Yeah, I can see what you mean. You don't watch it as a storyline. You watch it as kind of something you've created, which is nice as well. So no, I don't think it ruins it.
Very good. You did actually sit and watch the episode to provide a commentary.
Yeah, that was the first time I watched it. And we had no sound, so it was a bit strange.
Oh, so just watching the pictures?
Yeah, just watching picture, very slight sound in the headphones, and just had to talk about it.
That must be a weird experience.
It was a bit weird because we didn't really know what was coming up next, and we hadn't seen the edit or anything, no.
Yeah. I did ask earlier if anyone had questions to give them to me. Question, Paul, is... would it have made sense for Martha to look after the watch rather than have it lying around?
Oh, everybody's a critic. Yes, it probably would, but there's a really good reason.
Good.
Well, okay, I hate unpicking stuff
I know,
like this. It's
I'm
terrible.
sorry.
But if you think about
But it's
it...
the only question I've been given today, so...
If John Smith has been programmed, if you like, to think that that's the most important thing to him, He'll just think it's a watch, but he'll keep it near him. Maybe Martha has tried to nick it a couple of times. He's always going to want to know where it is. That's my thought. And the whole story wouldn't have happened
Exactly.
otherwise.
So shut your face. What happens to those props? I mean, do they get kept and locked away? And
Gary Russell's got it in his drawer. I
Does
asked
he?
about the Journal of Impossible Things. He said, "You're not having that."
That Journal of Impossible Things, who covets that, eh? Yes, everybody. Fantastic. Any more questions then? Hands up. Where's the Mr. Okay.
Hi, I've got a question for Tom. What was the favourite part of acting on the set?
The
Acting
acting.
in the piece.
Sorry?
Acting in the piece. I mean, you had to have a specific kind of look, you know, the uniform and the
Yeah.
some tight collars and things.
Yeah, well, I've played in that kind of era before. But when I was younger. And when I noticed when I came on to Doctor Who, I'd kind of grown into long trousers, because before I used to always have short trousers and be like the little orphan.
Sure.
So it was quite nice to have a change and have long trousers, a smart little collar and things, and it was great. But probably the World War I scene, because I've got kind of a soft spot for the war, World War I and II. So to be able to be put into that situation with explosions going off, covered in mud, and a wounded soldier on my back, it was quite amazing, really. It kind of brought you back to what it must have been like. So probably that, despite the fact that we were freezing cold, covered in mud and drenched. Sorry? Yeah.
Rolling your mouth, very good. Okay, next question anyway. Oh, there's lots of hands. Where's Mr. Mike? Just back there.
Why didn't you make these scarecrows invincible, like they never die, they just fell to pieces?
Well, they were invincible. They do never die. They just fall to pieces. In fact, they got back up on their feet having been shot apart. But I think it's good to have an invincible army that you can defeat very quickly when you have to.
Very good. Hands up so we can see where you are. Just in front of you there. Second, there we are.
Are you Doctor Who fans? Or just because it's into the business of in the box?
Okay, well, I presume are you Doctor Who fans beforehand? Obviously, yes, Paul.
Oh, yeah,
For a very long time.
I became a TV writer so that if they ever brought Doctor Who back, I could write it.
Was that your aim? Was
Yes.
that an aim, an ambition?
Yes. It's my only ambition, really.
So what's left for you now?
Nothing.
Fine.
And aging and death,
Now,
basically.
sad life from now on. That's it. Fine. Okay, questions some down here. Look, there we go. Thank you.
Tom,
Yeah.
what does it feel like being very young and still acting?
Sorry, what was that?
What does it feel like being very young and still acting?
What does it feel like to be very
Being
young?
very young and being an actor.
Oh, it's good. I suppose there aren't a lot of kids that do it, so it's kind of different for children to kind of see me as a child, because I'm always around adults. So you kind of you have to take a mature attitude. You kind of have to be quite strict. So it's kind of a bit strange because it's not a normal childhood, but I do really enjoy it a lot, and I love being on a film set, and I love being in the company of all these different people doing all these different jobs to make something that's completely imaginary and completely fake come to reality.
Can you learn from people you're working with?
Yeah, even from like people like the runners and the grips, the people that kind of you don't really hear about. You know, you can learn stuff from them. It's brilliant, great experience.
Very good. Okay, down the front here.
Hi, Tom. When you did the World War I scene in that episode, did you get a sense of, like, when it was, like, what happened with the war and everything, did you find it, like, an eerie process to do?
Yeah, it was a strange feeling. It was sad, yet exhilarating. And it really felt like you were put back in time. It was an incredible experience. We were just told to roll in the mud for a bit and action and walk over this muddy path and fall in puddles and just keep going and keep going. And by the end, when they said cut, we were completely exhausted because we were carrying about twice our body weight because they put ammunition in our belts and we were covered, all our clothes were soaked. And so by the end of it, we were completely knackered, and it just kind of gave you a strange feeling of kind of an acceptance, a kind of understanding of what it must have been like back then. It was a great feeling. And you wouldn't have been able to get that feeling from reading it in a book or watching it in a film or something. To actually be able to experience it is quite an eerie feeling, yeah.
My dad's a veteran, and he pointed to you in that scene and said, I was just like that.
Really? Wow.
Is it possible to have the lights up a little more? Whoever is up the back there working the lights, just a touch more, so we can see people. That's fantastic. Okay, now you can see at the back there are some hands.
Tom, what's
Why doesn't Mum ask the question then? Thank you.
Tom, do you find it hard learning your lines?
Oh, learning lines.
No, I've never really had a problem with that. I don't know why. I just, most of the time I kind of look at the scene that I'm doing the night before and quickly learn the lines, and it's kind of embedded in my head the next morning. I'm able to kind of sleep on it, and I wake up and it's in my head, which is quite lucky, I suppose. But no, I've never had a problem with that.
Okay, some hands back there.
You're in the Lazarus experiment when you bump into Martha, but how come you're in Human Nature as well?
So,
When you bump into
Oh,
Martha.
yeah, there's a little flash.
There's a flash
Flash-forward, isn't there?
Yes.
Is it Human Nature or Family About Human Nature?
I think you're getting a little bit of access to, Tim's getting a bit of access to the Doctor's memories, and because he's just seen Martha, it's just him seeing what she looks like in her doctor's coat. People have read much more stuff into that, but it's just his bit of doctorishness from the watch, thinking that's how I normally see her.
Okay, because I wasn't entirely sure what that meant either.
Yeah, I know. I heard about that earlier. You're thinking, do I have a guest slot at the end of the season? But,
Yes. Yes, another more work. Where are you? There's a gentleman right down here, if you don't mind running. Third row. There we are.
Hi. How much of the stuff in the Book of Impossible Things was actually down to you and the pictures of the doctors? And are they going to put it as a PDF in the DVD, or can you give them a nudge?
Okay, things I can and cannot talk about.
Okay, listen, promise, if you don't say anything to anybody...
All of the writing in the book is mine. I wrote about 40 pages of text, and Russell at one point said, I think you should just write the whole thing. I said, you're not paying me to also write a novel. And, so we had much text, and that wonderful artwork. Kellyanne, what's her name? What's her second name? Anyway, it's absolutely lovely. And the little stills and shots and seeing my little bits of text in there, it's all a kind of dreamy account of things the Doctor's seen through the eyes of John Smith. And loads of stuff from the book is also in there. And I'm really pleased with what they did with that. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I mean, hands up and be honest, who didn't freeze frame and try and work out which picture was which at the time?
People have said mad things like, you obviously chose what doctors to... No, I didn't. I can't write in a script, let's not see John Pertwee in this bit. That would be...
Okay, there we go. Back there, chappie. There we are, black T-shirt by the look of it.
If you get your chance to become Terence Dix, how would Human Nature have differed if it had been produced Barry Letts style?
Well, I think that one of the nice things about the televised version of Human Nature is that they know the proper colour for monsters is green. And I'm seeing Terence for our monthly lunch next week, so he said on the phone the other day, I've got lots to say about him. He seems terribly... And it's not my best Terence. All of us who know Terence have an impersonation, and I'm not the best by a long way.
Are you, we've just had announced the writers for season 4. Why are you not there?
I don't know. I should say two things. I'm always available for selection for Doctor Who, I always will be. And I'm still huge friends with this production team. And I saw them on Thursday night at a big corporate do for the licensee holders of Doctor Who. And we were just having a wonderful time partying together, so it's not like we've fallen out. I think probably what's happened is that, although this isn't something they share with us, that there was such an over-commission on season 3 that a number of scripts they commissioned then are now being made. And Russell told me about it many months ago, so they do look after us. So no falling out, just...
No, good, glad to hear it. So you could be back?
As soon as they like.
Fantastic. They're out.
Would you actually be the Doctor or yourself on actually in the Doctor Who?
Well, I don't understand what that question means.
Do you mean, would he like to play the Doctor?
Ah.
Would I like to play the Doctor? Yeah.
30 years' time, you know.
In a couple of years' time, I mean, that would be...
I mean, the generations are getting younger, but I think...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We have... Well, hands up. You'll need to wave because we can hardly see you from up here. Over in the corner there, yes? Lady.
Thomas, was it better being in Stick of the Dump or Doctor Who?
Both involved a lot of mud, I have to say.
It's hard.
One was at the end of a quarry, covered in mud, and one was in the middle of Cardiff, covered in mud.
Covered in mud, so...
They kind of have their similarities. Stick of the Dump was so long ago, and Doctor Who was literally a couple of months ago, so I kind of have still a lot of memories from Doctor Who. And Doctor Who was my first thing that I did technically as an adult. Now that, when I was 16, so I didn't have a chaperone, and I kind of was accepted more as an adult. So that made it a much more enjoyable experience for me.
Yep. Good. Okay. The lady here, the young lady there.
This is for Tom. Who did you like working with more, Martha or the Doctor?
They're both so different in personality. I mean, you can't really choose between the two. Like I said, Martha was kind of fun, bubbly, and always full of energy. And I don't know. I can't decide.
Both good. Both good.
Quite a hard
Both
question, really.
Okay, can we get some hands from the back, perhaps? Do you want to go up the stairs there, about halfway on the right?
Run.
Run.
Would you have preferred to be a scarecrow or yourself in Doctor Who?
Well, the scarecrows, they have to have all that horrible bags over their faces, and I felt so sorry for them when we were in this huge hot room, and I bet it must have been horrible for them and very claustrophobic. Also, the kind of prosthetics that they used on their hands had this strange smell, and you could always tell when the scarecrows had been in the room because they left this awful smell behind, so I'd much rather be me.
Were the scarecrows your idea?
That's a Russell thing. We needed some monsters because the book, they're human looking for a very, very long time. And you need a bear, you need something for the kids to be scared of.
Right, okay. Are you up the back there? Anyone else?
If you were attacked by a Cyberman, would you be deleted or upgraded?
I'd definitely be deleted. I'm a fat old writer. I'd be in the first rank of deletion.
I don't know. What's better?
Right, hands up here, anybody who uses or reads or posts on Outpost Gallifrey. Quite a few. Comments on that website after the story had gone out, Paul, include comments like, "I'm still crying. That was the most moving story I've ever seen. It made me cry 3 times. I think this was the pinnacle of the relaunched show. Dramatic, moving, emotionally charged." How do you feel about the reaction to this story?
I'm losing my ability to self-deprecate. I may have to move to Australia. It's very, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. My wife has just got to keep slapping me round the face to make me humble, which she enjoys.
And you do?
Yeah, a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know where we're going with this. Life in the Cornell household, but so different to the home life of our own dear Queen. But
J&T's no longer with us, I'm sorry. Sorry, do carry on.
Yes. When you recount this on Outpost Gallifrey, he said that. I also love the fact that they voted it the top story at the moment. I have how many? What time is it?
At the moment, 3:45.
So I have another 3.5 hours or so of being the top story. I'm very pleased at that.
Have you seen this next one then?
I've heard a lot about it. He keeps phoning me up and telling me about it. So yes, he keeps saying things like, "Oh, you've got nothing to worry from my story. I'm no threat to anyone. It's just a nice little piece, really. You needn't worry." He's told me that so many times.
Well, I mean, it is a very hard act to follow, seriously. I mean,
well,
I don't think there's anyone here who doesn't agree that your two-parter...
They won't put their hands up and say, yes, I hate it.
No. I don't care. If you don't like it, bugger off. 2 of the greatest stories that we've had.
I tell you what, a couple of really weird things. I've had a lot of writers I'm a fan of getting in touch. Neil Gaiman sent me an email. I'm just blown away. And what else? A couple of the negatives have been really interesting. The negative stuff has been in little different groups, some of which I really, see the point of.
Sure.
So, there's negative stuff here which I think have good points to make. What I really didn't like was the person who called me a racist on Outpost Gallifrey. That was the one thread I thought I'd dive in and slap them, but I didn't. And as a result of that, perhaps, I didn't know the BNP had a MySpace page, but they tried to befriend me this morning. And I wish there was a bigger button than deny I could have hit. I think the racism thing comes from, we depicted racism of the time in terms of Martha. And people say we shouldn't have depicted it. I really think we had to depict it. I think it's a disservice not to depict it.
To those people who went through it at the time.
Yeah,
yes,
and the whole story is a refutation of that. Anyway, the BNP didn't get that.
Sure.
They saw a bit of racist abuse of a companion and thought, oh, we like that. We'll get in touch with the author.
And other moments in it, like take the boy away for a beating.
Well, yes.
It's violent, it's cruel, but it happened.
And drama isn't your puppy and it will hurt you.
Very true. Okay, where's Mr. Mike gone? Up there. Okay, have we any questions at the back? There's anyone who hasn't asked a question yet? Thank you.
Tom,
Yes?
what was your favourite scene?
Is there a favourite scene? I mean, there was a lot in there for you to do. I seem to think you were saying on the commentary your first scene was cleaning the boots.
Yeah, that was my first scene. I don't know whether it was my favourite scene. I just sat there cleaning boots.
Sure, that was the first one. But anything that stand out and you think, yeah, I really enjoyed that day?
They're all kind of a blur, really. They kind of merge into each other as just a great experience. Oh, the day on the Vickers machine gun, that was just great fun, because that's what boys like to do, isn't it? But apart from that, no, kind of
But I guess
every day, really.
The machine gun scenes, I guess you must have all had earplugs and training and been taught what to do.
Yeah, it was great.
So you can't just turn up and fire. There must have been a lot of preparation.
No, it was all on the day, preparation, but it didn't take much to do. But we had all the training and stuff necessary.
Very good, very good.
Were you firing blanks and it was making squibs go off?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Tom, what was your most embarrassing scene?
Everyone asks this question of an actor, you know, what was your most embarrassing moment? There probably weren't any, but do you remember there were days when perhaps things went wrong, or you had to go over stuff again and again?
Probably. I can't think of any at the moment, but I'm sure there were times where we
I'm sure there
messed
were
up.
too. I'm sure there were too. Okay, just a couple more questions. Any grown-ups with a question perhaps this time? Well, don't chuckle, say something. Round the back. Yeah, there's a gentleman. Look at that. There we go.
Hi. In your series, Nurse Joan was played by an actress we've known for years as Jessica Stevenson. We know she was billed as Jessica Hines. Was there a reason for this?
She got married.
Ah, that was it.
And he has married Mr. Hines.
Ah, very good. I just wondered if it was her ambition to play 57 different characters in her career, but...
You had a good joke and I spoilt your setup. I'm sorry.
Never mind. Never mind. I think that was one of the greatest performances.
Oh, she's wonderful, isn't she?
So understated.
I'm so happy with this cast. I mean, Harry Lloyd, my goodness.
Oh, he was brilliant.
And that's a tremendously risky performance, because you take that a couple of notches the other direction, it becomes ridiculous. He did an amazing job.
Yeah, yeah.
Jessica just blew me away, as did this chap.
Quite fantastic. Okay, we'll be all winding down shortly. So there's a gentleman down here. Thank you. Stripy T-shirt.
Hi, Paul. David did a fantastic job as John Smith. Are there any other of the Doctors who you would have liked to have seen take on that role? And who do you think would have done a good job?
Well, it would, of course, been very different for each one of them, and we'd have written it differently for each one of them, is the truth. So it's not really an even playing field to compare and contrast. I don't know if I honestly can see William Hartnell doing the... No, I've never done this before, so lean in close and I shall snog you, yes? Yes, I shall snog. I shall song.
Wearing my radiation gloves. Yes. Do you think there's space now for a multi-Doctor story in the new series?
I think that would be really difficult.
People keep bringing up that subject, but it would be terribly hard now.
Russell always likes to do the things which seem impossible. Maybe one of these days, he has really good reservations, why not? You know, it's takes the focus off your lead character. I don't know, but Russell always likes taking this stuff away and thinking, oh, I could find a way to do that, so you never know.
Well, it's tough. I mean, the ones who are, who are still with us kind of don't look the same anymore.
Exactly, and you need somebody who's still a lead. Peter Davison is still a lead.
Yeah. Paul McGann, but it's. I see.
No. It's not a thing about Paul McGann. It's the fact that he's not regularly seen on British television.
Exactly. He's not as known as the Doctor as the others. Really. Exactly. Okay. Well, look, I think it's time to wind up. I mean, thank you very much, everyone, for your questions. Thank you, Paul. I mean, you've given us some great Doctor Who. Thomas, fantastic performance in it.
Thank you.
And we're absolutely thrilled to have you here. So please thank our guests, Thomas and Paul.
Thank you.